Everyone. Good morning, everyone. We have a special guest this morning from Brampton, Officer Philip Schuster. Officer Schuster is a member of the Brampton Fire Department, and we're going to screen share with him, Mike, and it's even made co-host as well. And if you are unmuted, anyone, please mute yourself. And Officer Schuster, can you please unmute yourself? And,
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Awesome.
So I'm going to put myself on mute to give you the floor. And
sounds good. And oh, perfect. I can share my screen now, so we're all good. Awesome. Okay. Cool. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. My name's Officer Phil Schuster with the Brampton Fire Department, and I'm, this is very informal in terms of, fire safety in the home. I'm going to touch on what we have in terms of, and these stats can apply to the region of Peel, province of Ontario. Very generic in terms of what causes home fires, and a little bit in terms of, how to avoid them by law, what you need in your home in terms of protection equipment, and then going over a couple of things you can do, especially when it comes to seasonal safety, of how to avoid issues in your home. So when we talk about, the fire service in general, mostly across Ontario, the average, response time, depending where you live, if you're more rural, will be a little bit higher. But for most urban areas, the average response time is between 5 and 6 minutes. Okay. Now, some of you may think that's pretty good timing. It is good timing, but the problem is this. Now in our homes, our furniture burns a lot more quicker and it gets a lot more hotter. So what happens is, and I'll show you a video later on of an example of just how quickly fire can burn. So it can theoretically double its size every 30 seconds. So when we, watch the news and we hear far less of, 7 people rescued from a home or 4 people rescued from a home. What you hear now is, yes, 1 person sadly died in a fire or 2 people passed away. And, or you hear the opposite, where the family was out because their alarms were working. So why that is, if your home has furniture from the 1970s, your home is actually technically safer because furniture with older furniture has less synthetics. So kudos to you for keeping the old furniture, but a lot of our homes don't. So we have a lot more, hydrocarbons in our furniture because of the way it's made. It's cheaper, more affordable, but unfortunately it does burn a lot quicker. So yeah, average response time is around then. In Brampton specific, 13 fire stations at any given time, 150 to 200 firefighters on active duty. Peel region, Toronto, same idea. Your local fire station is within a certain radius of travel, which is good. So and each fire department is funded by municipal taxes. We're not a provincial organization. Every old municipality has their own department. Some of them do join up and have regional bodies, but most of them are going to be independent municipal organizations. So when we start to look at what actually causes fires, okay, number one, and it has been the last probably 20 years, is cooking. All right. So I don't know, most of us, if you're starting to do a lot of the cooking at home or you live with someone, a partner who does cooking for you, very important. Okay, especially as we get older and we start to take medication that may make us more sleepy, blood pressure medication or other types of medication. We start to become a little more forgetful. Always important that you remind yourself when you're using the stove, you stay in the kitchen. Okay, 55 and plus age group, we see a big dramatic increase when it comes to injuries by cooking because they forget, they try to put the fire out themselves, so they get injured. I see it all the time. We've a couple of years ago, was she was in her late 60s, a woman didn't realize she had the stove on. She went upstairs, took a shower, came downstairs, was forgetful. She was kind of at that getting toward that age stage of life. And yeah, she decided to put the fire out with a cup of water and a towel, and it came back and caused 3rd to 4th degree burns. Okay, so as the older we get, our skin takes longer to heal. So a simple burn that in your 20s may have not required hospitalization, it does now at our age. So it's very, very important that when you are in the kitchen, you stay in the kitchen absolutely at all times. Okay. A lot of people ask me, Phil, is a gas stove or electric, what's safer? Doesn't really matter. They're both equally safe. But what it comes down to is the misuse. So basically, don't become forgetful. Okay. So cooking, we've always had these issues. I think we'll still have it. People cook of all ages. People think it's kids. It's actually adults that are the ones that are starting home fires. And unfortunately, they're just becoming forgetful, too distracted. And fires do happen, and they happen very quick. So I'm going to show you a little short video of what will happen if you have a fire on your stove and you put water. And it's actually very dramatic of just exactly how big that fire could get. So hold on, I'm gonna share my screen here. I think it should be good. Share. Oh, yeah, share my sound too. So just as a very short example of this is only half a cup of water on a little bit of grease. So yeah, you'd be very, very surprised of that's sometimes what we come to is a situation like that in a home. It's because people's first instinct is they want to put water on that grease fire and put the fire out themselves. So don't. If you have a cooking fire in your home, just honestly, if someone causes it and there's a lot of panic, just leave the home. Okay. All your valuables can replace. You have insurance. Don't worry about, your personal safety is much more important than what you have in your home. Just get out. Don't try to be the hero. Don't try to move the pot or pan. Don't try to put water on it, especially with the grease fire, because you're just going to make the situation worse. It's very common that we had a couple of years ago. I had an older gentleman. His wife was cooking and she left the stove on. He went outside to get the garden hose, brought it back into the house, tried to put a kitchen fire out himself, and unfortunately he did die due to injuries of the fire. Okay, so there's no point of trying to be the hero. Just get out, get everyone out to safety, call 911, and let us deal with it. Let us do our job. Your job is just to get out. Okay, so when it comes to cooking, don't extinguishers. I get the question a lot. Fire extinguishers are good to have in your home, but the problem with cooking fires is everyone gets the nozzle and puts it right in the pot. Well, the problem is if you put it right in the pot, you're going to blow all that fire and all that pressurized oxygen is going to go right back into your face. Okay. So extinguishers are great, but be cautious. We don't use them on a kitchen fire. If it's small and you're comfortable, just slide the lid on top and shut off the stove. Okay. Same thing with the oven. Oven fires go out on their own. Just don't open the door, turn the oven off, and the fire will go out eventually. Okay. So cooking, number one, always be number one. Two, we see a huge increase now in electrical fires, mostly because we have a huge amount of personal devices in our homes. So, laptops, computers, cell phones, tablets, stuff like that. And when it comes to those devices, it's the charging wires and the charging blocks that do become a problem. So I tell people, if you're going to get a new or replacement charger for your cell phone or a charging cord, make sure they're from the reputable dealer. Don't buy them from the gas station. Don't buy them from Dollarama. I know they're the cheaper option, but make sure that they're required for that device. Okay. So many examples of people that for some reason charge their cell phones in their bed or under their pillow. Teenagers do that all the time. And then they use an improper cable charger or a power block. It pops, and then there's a fire that happens in the bed. Okay. Not so much of the older age group. I know most of everyone here, you guys probably charging on top of your nightstand. Great. But don't charge them on any kind of soft material like that, like bedding. Okay. So yeah, A lot of us people think we're handy when it comes to electrical work. Great, Oh, if you're not comfortable with it, consult an electrician. Okay. We do have a lot of DIY mishaps where we have fires that happen behind the walls because someone just overloaded or put too many wires to a breaker, and sometimes the breaker fails, doesn't do its job, and you get overheating, and fires can happen behind the walls. So always consult an electrician if you aren't comfortable with what you're doing. Okay. When it comes to bathroom fan fires, we have a lot of those every single year. So if you do, make sure you routinely replace your bathroom fans. Okay. I know it's easy to do yourself, but if you're not comfortable, call an electrician. I don't know, for some reason, bathroom fans seem to be a big start of fires these days. In the last year, I think we had about 15 fires caused by bathroom fans. Is it because the builder put them in incorrectly? Probably, but it's always a good thing if you're always maintain and clean the bathroom fan filter once in a while, pop it out, clean it, and then vacuum it, because they get overloaded in the heat. And what happens is when the fire starts, always the attic, especially if your attic, if you're especially an attached home or a semi-detached, it could spread across the actual attics between the homes. So good idea. That's a good thing to maintain routinely. Dryers, huge. I could probably count, at least we'll have 2 dryer fires every week. All right. Maintain them, clean that lint out. Very important. Okay. Don't forget about that, because it builds up behind your dryer. Good idea. There's a couple companies out there that will actually take your dryer apart and vacuum out the inside of it. You could do it yourself. Open up the back with the main screw sets, pull out, vacuum. If you're not comfortable, call someone to do it. Usually a good idea, because I've been to homes where there's fires in the basement, and we know already it's a dryer fire because there's so much lint that's coming out the side of the house. Okay, so good idea to get that checked out. When it comes to extension cords, don't use them for refrigerators. A lot of people do that. Got guys use them in their garage and run extension cords for fridges. Not a good idea. Only temporary things, power tools and stuff like that. Don't use them for permanent things like TVs. Don't run them on rugs. Not a good idea. Okay, but I'm sure most of you know that. And lastly, when it comes to electrical devices, if you have a toaster that's 40 years old, maybe replace it. All right. A lot of wear and tear on electrical devices over time. The cords start to go and wear away. If you have a broken cord especially a heavy appliance, don't put electrical tape around it. Buy a new appliance or get it repaired. Probably a good idea. Electrical, we don't know what could happen. A lot of those fires do happen. It's very common. So number 2. Number 3, stubbornly still, is smoking. All right. That's actually what, and when it comes to fires in the home, when people die, it's mostly because of smoking. All right. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of us, maybe at our ages, are quitters or used to smoke or still smoke. If you smoke cigarettes, please just make sure you don't smoke them in your room, in your bedroom. Don't smoke them when you're tired or sleepy. I know they go hand in hand, alcohol consumption and cigarette smoking. Just make sure, if you consume a lot of alcohol, not a good idea to smoke a cigarette if you're not alert. Okay. Same with the cooking. If you consume alcohol, don't cook, order out. All right. Much safer. And I know recreational cannabis is a huge hit these days. So if you consume recreational cannabis, either edible or you smoke it, always make sure you're gonna get hungry after. Cook your food beforehand. Don't do it when you're high. All right. I know anyone here is worried about that, but always a good idea. Okay. Make sure that you are always alert when you're cooking. So yeah, and candles too. If you're going to use candles, the flameless battery operated are a good idea. Okay, like these, still produce the same kind of light. They do produce the same kind of scent, but they're safer. When we have influx of candle fires, always around the holidays, because people get these centerpieces, they have candles in it for Christmas and Valentine's Day. What happens is people get romantic. They have a couple glasses of wine, have candles in the bedroom, and we'll always read about either somewhere in North America of a fire happening because of massage oil plus a candle. All right. So if you're into those kind of things, great, but do it safely. Okay. Candles, yeah. Thankfully, we see a lot less compared to 40 years ago. Candles for some reason have a little more passe in the home, which is good because they're pretty dangerous if left unattended. But if you do use them, just blow them out when you go to bed. That's probably a good idea. Now, so we got fires, CO, big time of the year for carbon monoxide calls. This is usually our influx, December, January, February. Mostly because most of us are going to have natural gas heaters in our home. Some of you may have electric baseboard, but majority are gas. Okay, get those furnaces inspected once in a while. Once every couple of years is good enough. If you're super cautious, have your gas company come out to check them out once a year. It's probably a good idea. They don't last forever. What happens is they will rust away at their intake pipes. Okay. And the worst part about it is with CO, when the improper exchange happens and there's a block, you don't know. Like, we can't taste it, we can't smell it. That's why it's important to have a CO alarm. I'll talk about that later. But if you want to avoid that big headache of having CO in your house, the furnace, number one thing, all right? Make sure it's operating properly. Make sure you change your filters every 3 months, okay? Very easy. Make sure you put it to the intake, common sense. Gas dryers are a big one too. So once again, the lint being cleaned. Fireplaces, okay? Gas fueled fireplaces. Some of us, they have us in our home, or wood fueled. Make sure they're maintained properly. If you're gonna have someone come look at your chimney, or check your wood stove or your fireplaces, make sure that they're certified. It's WETT certification. Make sure whoever comes out, they're wet certified, because if anything happens with your insurance, that's the first thing they ask. It's like, oh, you had your fireplace looked at by someone. Who looked at it? Were they wet certified? So make sure that they're at least certified to do that in your home. Okay. Fireplaces, we don't have a lot of fireplace fires per se, but when we do, it's always because they don't have the flue open, or they're just really, really dirty chimneys that haven't been maintained after a while. Okay. So wood burning fireplaces are great to have in your home. Just make sure they're maintained properly, and with the stoves as well, because you don't want that CO buildup. Okay. I know it's cold this time of the year. Don't run your car in the garage. All right. Obviously, it's common sense, but you'd be very surprised how many people still do it. We've been to calls where the CO alarm's going off, and the family's like, I don't know where the CO is coming from. Well, their neighbor is running their car in the garage, and houses, just the way they're built, it's coming seeping through, and it's going to the house next door. So yeah, you don't realize it, but even if things your neighbors do could affect your home safety as well. So yeah, don't run cars in the garage. Not a good idea. And when it comes to CO as well, too, if we start to have a lot of snow on the side of our house, do us a huge favor. Just make sure your outtake for your furnace piping is clear of snow. We get tons of calls because they go, oh, my CO alarm is going off. It's a small amount, not a lot of ppm, but the first thing we do is we check the side of the house, because if there's snow blocking the vent, right away, that's a problem. Okay. So avoid the call to the gas company and us. If you have just make sure it's always clear when it snows. All right. Because it could build up. So yeah, that's when it comes to the preventative aspect. That's what I'm really looking for from people. Staying in the kitchen when they cook, using electric appliances correctly, DIYers, making sure if you're gonna do things yourself, feel comfortable. But if you have to, don't worry about hiring an electrician for certain things that are complex. And having those appliances maintained every year is important. So your furnaces, your fireplaces, okay? Because CO, that's it's one of the silent killers. And we're not barbecuing in our homes, or if the power goes out. This happened a couple of years ago, that big ice storm. I don't know. I would say it was like 8 years ago, almost, or 9 years ago. We had a lot of power outages in the city. Region of Peel, the province, had a big issue. But what people were doing is their power went out, their furnace wasn't working, and they were building actual bonfires in their house to keep warm. All right. We had tons of CO calls because of that. So if your power does go out and your heat's not off or not on, it's freezing, find other accommodations. but don't start bringing your portable heaters in your house that use propane. Don't build little bonfires. All right, you're going to have CO exposure in your home. That's happened actually a couple of years ago. We had a family in Brampton. 3 members passed away, and what it was is their furnace wasn't working, and they owned a restaurant, so they thought, you know what, we have those big giant outdoor patio heaters at the restaurant. Let's bring one home and use it. Well, the minute they turned that on, an hour later, 3 of them were dead. Okay, it's just the use of propane in the home. It's only used for outside. Okay, we have a lot of people coming from different parts of the world where they do use little small kerosene propane heaters in the home to cook. But the problem is our homes are meant to keep heat in other parts of the world, very drafty, not sealed in properly, well, because they're not worried about winter. So yeah, you could use propane inside of the home, but not in Canada, not where we live. So yeah. Now, let's talk about devices. Smoke alarms, all right? When we hear about people who die in fires, 90% of the time, they either don't have smoke alarms or they're not working. So I have to reiterate, tell us all the time, 1 on every single floor. Expiries, there was a new law put in a couple of years ago that you could actually get a ticket now if your smoke alarm is outdated, all right? Pretty new. Does that happen? Does the fire department go door to door and start throwing out tickets? No, very rare. But if an inspector does show up at your house just to do a routine, and we see, hey, you know what? There's your smoke alarms are outdated. Technically, now we could charge a fine, and it's depending what municipality you live in. They range between $250 to $300. So you know that's substantial. So it's important. Make sure your alarms are up to date every 10 years. They have to be replaced. Different homes, different models. If your home was built in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, you probably have the old electric upstairs and the rest were not put in by the builder. So you probably have the battery operating units, or you upgraded and put all electric. Whatever you have, just make sure it's maintained to what you have right now. So you cannot replace a electric with a battery operated. It has to be an electric, okay? A lot of people try the shortcut because they don't want to replace the electric. They think it's too hard. Then I'll call someone in to replace it, okay? 1 on every single floor. Now for newer homes built in 2014 onwards, they're going to have actually smoke alarms in every single bedroom, all right? So newer homes are much safe. If you live in an apartment, 1 in your unit is the requirement, okay? For us that are going hard of hearing, all right? So if you use hearing devices at home and you believe that if your smoke alarm went off in the middle of the night, you won't hear it, contact the Canadian Hearing Society, Hearing Society of Canada, one or the other, and they could offer you potentially a rebate to buy a device that will connect with your smoke alarm. And when the smoke alarm goes off, it'll shake your bed, okay, or shake your pillow. And there's some devices you could buy that will have a flasher, so it'll blind you to wake you up, okay? That is pretty important. The older we get, and if hearing is an issue, you may not hear it. So yeah, I would definitely invest into a smoke alarm that shakes your pillow when it goes off, okay? Now, CO alarms, depending what you have at home, you may have the plug-in one into the wall. You may have some that go into the ceiling, whatever you have. That law came into place about 7 years ago now, is you have to have one outside every sleeping area. So yes, if someone sleeps downstairs in the basement, got to put one in. If someone sleeps in the main floor and someone sleeps upstairs, then you need 2, okay? Buy where people sleep. And these devices, same thing, replaced every 10 years or else it is a finable offense, okay? So having these things in your home that work, great life-saving device because they're going to alert you. And why is it important? I'll show you a little video of just how little time you have to get out of your home. So share sound, perfect. Let me get it going here. Oh, this one. Hold on. Stand by. Yeah, that's the screen I want. And I want a different video. When you're watching it, pay very close attention to the time. So look at that, normal fire, nothing out of the ordinary. And still, the alarm has not gone off yet. So now at 1:57, the alarm is going off, and the family theoretically will be waking up to this. So you're at 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So flashover is a temperature where all material will combust. There's no, anything, our bunker gear, any material that we would be wearing, it wouldn't suffice. All right. So we would never go into a room or a home where flashover was reached. That might be a high temperature, but yeah, at that point, nothing would survive anyways. So when you're looking at time, theoretically speaking, in an ideal situation, I can have a home reach that temperature in about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So 3 minutes. Our response time, 5 to 6. So when you do the math, it's very obvious that the most important thing is having the smoke alarm working, because at 1:50, that would give you those 30 seconds or a minute to get out of your home. Okay. So that's why it's very, very important. If there's anything your takeaway today is from me, is going to make sure your alarms are in working order. You test them, okay? Push that button, make sure it beeps. If it beeps, it's working, all right? Check the date, make sure they're not outdated. If they're out, if you have an alarm that's 2 years over the expiry date, yeah, you press it, it's still gonna beep. That just means there's power to it, okay? But in a true life situation, the sensors may not react as quickly as it was when it was first designed. Okay, so that's why the outdated alarm does matter. A lot of people always argue that with me. They're like, well, it still tests, it still works. Oh, I could put it goes off when I cook. Yeah, but over time, as you'll notice, more and more smoke will build up before it goes off when you're cooking. Okay, the sensors don't last forever. All right. So yeah, just a big summary of what I talked about today. Stay in the kitchen when you cook. Make sure those alarms are working. All right. Do me a big favor, heating season, make sure your furnace is in operating order. If we have snow, make sure the side of your home or wherever your output pipe is clear from obstruction, all right? We don't mind going to those calls, but the CO calls at 1 in the morning because there's snow on the side of the house can be avoidable, okay? And as I said, if there's ever a fire in your home, 8 times out of 10, it's gonna be because of cooking. So, if you feel comfortable, put a lid on top of the pot or pan. If you don't feel comfortable, get out of the house. All right. Don't be the hero. Too many stories of older individuals, older adults becoming injured because they're trying to put the fire out themselves. And one last thing I always talk about too, especially to the 55 plus crowd, is that always have by your fridge. This helps us a lot too. If you can. If case we find you unresponsive in your home for whatever reason, all right, you're home alone, have on your fridge your name, date of birth, and prescription medication you're on. We always look for that first. Some of you may have a phone that has it on your phone, an iPhone. We start to look for that as well. iPhones now will have a emergency ID thing we can access. So as you put that information in, it actually, you'd be surprised how much that helps us. Okay. If you want a card, you could fill out. The Peel Regional Paramedic, Peel Regional Paramedics has one online. You can print out and fill out, put on your fridge. We always look for those. Keep in your wallet. You'd be very surprised of how the more information we know to help you on a medical call, because we do respond to them. And in the region of Peel, it's because of the current COVID situation, the ambulances are very strained. So for, I think it was 2 nights ago, there was actually, for almost an hour and a half, there was actually only one available ambulance in the region of Peel that was not already out of call. So that's pretty scary, right? So the response times for the ambulance can be up to 30 minutes now because of the constant calls due to COVID that they're having. So it's very important. The more information we have, so now firefighters, we're starting to go out to a lot more medical calls just because we're closer. So yeah, the more information we have, the better. All right. And hospitalizations, 55 up. Yeah, fire injuries are, I wouldn't say they're really high. They're pretty on the lower end. Falls, okay, broken hips. We respond to a lot of seniors, men and women equally. They fall, slip out of the bathtub, break a hip, and they can't get up. Okay, so make sure your home is, when it comes to more, older friendly. So grab bars in your showers, bathtubs, awesome thing to have. Don't have those stupid mats that slip. Couldn't tell you how many times to go those calls where a senior has a bath mat or one of those things by the kitchen, and they're walking over, they slip and hit their head, they fall backwards. Make sure you have comfortable shoes. Okay, you would be surprised of how often we have seniors that fall. Mostly applies to women. Seniors that, or maybe if you're interested, you wear high heels. It could happen as well. But yeah, safe, nice, comfortable shoes are so important because yeah, you essentially want to avoid slips and falls. Okay, 60 up, 70 up, those little minor slips and falls that we respond to. We always find out after the fact that the senior we helped, they're in hospital for 2 months, 3 months. Okay, and what would have healed a broken rib when you're in your 30s, when you're in your 60s, far more complicated. Okay, so be mindful of that. Shoveling the driveway as well. Okay, honestly, it's at older ages, you were surprised of how many cardiac arrest calls we respond to by older gentlemen who are stubborn and don't want to hire a kid in the neighborhood to do it. And yeah, they suffer heart attacks or cardiac arrest because they're shoveling the driveway. Okay, so know your limits, but definitely something to think about. Okay, any questions before I go? Anything I talked about? Yes.
Yeah, hi, Philip.
Yeah.
I'm Neil Watson, your co-host. Yeah, we've had 40 members on this morning listening to your presentation, and everybody's over 65.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you're speaking to the choir for sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've got a question about with the price of real estate and basement of so many homes are multi-generational.
Yep.
And I think we're going to see more and more of that now. I know
Yep.
that the Brampton and other communities do allow basement apartments.
Yes.
But they have to be registered and inspected by the city.
Yeah. So I could talk. Yeah. So I could talk a little. Why don't we talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, I've heard there are many illegal basement apartments. How's your fight? How can we prevent that?
Okay, so we'll take a couple of years back. So region appeal, so City of Brampton, Mississauga, in Toronto, there was a lot of pushback for basement apartments. So the province in 2009, 2010 said to municipalities, listen, we know because of the price of homes, we have a housing issue. There's not enough homes. So you have no choice but to allow basement apartments to exist in your municipality. So it's above and beyond the city's jurisdiction now. So you're right. Now we have to have them. So there's a framework where they have to be inspected and they have to be up to the Ontario Fire Code and Ontario Building Code. So now you're right. So there's a lot of issues. There's probably an estimate right now in the city of Brampton. There's probably 20 to 30,000 illegal basement apartments at any given time. Okay. If you suspect that your neighbors or one on your street exists, how can you tell? 7 cars on the driveway is usually a give take all right. You notice people enter the home through the garage or a side entrance. That's a dead giveaway too. But mostly it's the cars. Okay, 4 to 5 cars. Now, you did mention though too, multi-generational homes. Brampton and Mississauga has actually the highest provincial average of people per household in the province. Okay, so even we respond to medical emergencies or fires And we're always shocked to know that 11 people live in a house. All right. It's just the way it is because of the cost of homes. But for basement apartments, where our real concern comes up is some of them, if they're not built properly, are a death trap. It's true. We've seen it all where owners have literally made a basement into 3 different apartment units. Okay. So you'll have 7 people renting out different rooms in a basement and have 1 entrance in and out. Okay. So if you do suspect it, call 311. Okay. File a complaint. It's anonymous. So if they'll give your name, you can get, they won't tell anyone that you called. But, you know, we will, bylaw officers will eventually get to it, and the fire department. The problem is, though, there's such a high volume that it may take months before you see action being resolved. Okay. So, yeah, you know, it is an issue. It's an ongoing issue. You know, we have fires in basement apartments, you know, registered or non-registered, but a majority of them do happen in non-registered because they're just not built safely. Okay. So if you do suspect one, 311 is the best number to call. Okay. Because basement apartments, yeah, you know, we want to get in there. If we find one and the owner is willing to work with us, it's much better to get that up the code. A lot of people don't like that. I know a lot of people always say, I don't want basement apartments in my neighborhood to begin with. Unfortunately, it's out of the city's hands. It's the province that has made us set to the Ontario Urban Growth Plan. So we have no choice. But for us, if we're going to have them, make sure they're safe. And it does cost a lot of money for the owners to bring it up to code. So usually 8 times out of 10 is they just say, okay, fine, I won't have one. So that does happen too.
Okay, well, thank you for that answer, Philip.
Yeah.
Steve Hughes, do you have a question?
Yes, I have to buy a fire extinguisher for my cottage, my old wooden cottage, and I would look in Lowe's or Home Depot or something, and there were a variety of ones there, and I wasn't quite sure the one I did buy would be the correct one. Any suggestions?
Yeah, for your home, a 5-pound ABC is all you need. All right, ABC will take care of any type of fire, electrical, combustible, cooking fire, wood cottages. Yeah. So under current law, it's there's no law to have one in your house, but if you want one, good peace of mind. Yeah, 5-pound ABC, and then after 10 years, replace it. But yeah, 5-pound ABC, they're red. Usually it's the red color.
Thank you.
But that's most of what you're gonna find. Thank you. Yeah, good question though.
Okay, Bruce Walker, do you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering if you could reiterate the outdatedness of smoke detectors.
Yeah.
Is that 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years. So if you look at your unit today and you notice there's no date, or it's yellow, or it looks old, yeah, it's older than 10 years. Okay, so in 2005, manufacturers were required to put a date sticker on it. So if you find no sticker, it's old, so it should be replaced. We have a chance.
And I understood that they were, some of them were doing away with the replacement battery, so they automatically would.
So there is a unit available that has actually a 10-year battery, so it lasts the same life of the alarm. I love those because in the long term, you save money because you're not buying batteries every year, and you don't have to get up on a stool to change them. 10-year battery operated, they're great to have. Even the electrical units now will have it because now they have a battery backup and the power goes out. Those last for 10 years too. They're not that expensive. They've gone down in price. It's like 28 bucks, 20 to 30.
Thank you.
Yep.
Philip, you said the life expectancy for a fire extinguisher was 10 years.
Yeah.
If a fire extinguisher older than 10 years still has the needle in the center green area, is it still acceptable?
It's acceptable. There's no law of replacement. I just always say 10 years is a good, because what happens is the powder can cake up and it gets so, it hasn't been used. It gets too stiff or solid and it may or may not work. And a lot of people tell me, oh, can I get it serviced? I wouldn't get it serviced by a company. They'll charge you a crazy high amount. Just buy a new one. But yeah, the pressure gauge could still be working, but the only issue is the powder inside cakes up if it doesn't move. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that could happen. Yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions? please unmute yourself so I can tell who it is.
Oh, all good.
Good. Oh, yes, there's a
Oh.
couple more. Maurice?
Maurice?
Yes, I'd like to ask you a question with
Sure.
with respect to natural gas or propane. Since I have an impediment that I cannot smell natural gas, are there any
Oh.
sensors out there that
Yeah.
can sense that?
So good. Actually, I love that question. Good question. So Home Depot, Rona, Lowe's will sell what they call a 3-in-1. So it detects natural gas, propane, and carbon monoxide. They're 3-in-1 detectors. They're a bit more expensive. They're in the $45 to $50 range, but last 10 year, and it detects all three. So if you can't
thank you.
smell it, then you'll hear it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Yeah.
Great. Great. Okay. Any more questions, gentlemen? Well,
So yeah, thank you for this, guys. I hope there's some takeaways today, but the biggest one being make sure your devices all work. And as we get older, let's avoid those slips and falls, okay? Because the older we get, we know how it is, the harder our body recovers.
Have there been any Omicron issues that are affecting staffing at the department?
So far, so good. Knock on wood. We've had a couple positive cases, but they were isolated to the individual. So now the only problem is this. Our department doesn't meet the testing requirements. So we may have firefighters that have it, but they're just staying home. They don't know if they have it. So it's kind of hard, right? So right now, and everyone knows the announcement, like we can't get tested because we don't fall under the criteria of testing. So the city provided us with some rapid tests. So we could use those. But yeah, right now, knock on wood, so far, so good. But I know in the region of Peel right now, Mississauga's having a couple issues. And Toronto is pretty good too. So as of now, well, I don't know what that looks like next week or 2 weeks from now.
Well, you're certainly at risk when you go into all these homes every day for all.
Oh yeah. And the big problem is too, is that, we don't know what the status is of that individual. So, us and the paramedics, it's a risk. It always is, but we wear a proper fitting PPE. So at least the risk is very lowered in that sense, at least anyways.
Okay, Bruce Walker has another question.
Sure.
I would like to also mention that police officers, perhaps in certain jurisdictions, fall into the same category. So you have great difficulty going to the end of the line to get your booster and whatnot. No priority.
No, right now we were not prioritized emergency services in terms of boosters. And right now our members can't be tested we will have access to PCR testing. So it's unfortunate, but that's just how the government decided to make their priority of testing. So for us, we just tell our people, hey, if you got symptoms, don't come to work. Stay home, assume you have it. So that's all we could do.
Well, listen, Philip, thank you very much
Yes.
for your
Thank you,
presentation.
Neil. Thank
today.
you. Yeah.
I recognize you. I met you in another
outside
Costco.
Yes.
Outside Costco, yes. You were doing it.
We were doing a display with me and my coworkers. Yeah.
Well,
so I'm glad we got your cards. That's awesome.
Well, great. Nice seeing you again.
Yeah, and everyone stay safe. Okay, I know everyone's talking about the Omicron and stuff like that, but listen, I'm sure everyone knows over the holidays someone that got it. So minimize your contacts as much as possible for the next little while, because we are seeing a lot more seniors that are getting it, and for seniors, it's not mild. Okay, so minimize those contacts. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, Mike, please take it away.
All right. Well, thank you to Philip and Neil. Thank you very much for making those arrangements. With that, we'll turn it over to Murray Gingrich and Steve Hughes for this morning's spotlight.
Yeah, here's Steve here, and I don't have anything for spotlight unless Murray has something.
Yeah, Murray has. Murray.
Having internet issues here.
Oh.
Philip, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, you're frozen, Murray. Okay, okay.
Are you able to hear me now?
Okay, now we can. Yep,
But you freeze up, Murray. Go ahead.
yeah. Okay, maybe we'll come back to Murray.
Thank you. Sorry.
Now you're fine. Okay, take it away.
Okay, well, in the spotlight this morning, if you can hear me,
Yeah.
I would like to highlight our How Are You Gang members. The club will remember that it's almost, I guess it's over 18 months now, that the management committee was looking at how we could somehow engage our members, what we could do in such a time that was already impacted by COVID. And John Gow was the one who initiated the move to have regular phone contact with our members. At the time, it was mostly members of the management community or committee rather that got involved. But since then, certainly the gang has expanded. Members have, few have left, but many have come. So I would like to list those members that were part of that How Are You Gang over the months. And at the same time, I think that they deserve the spotlight and the thanks of our whole club. So if I could list them, they starting off in no particular order here was Greg Allen, Peter Kuipers, Bob England, Marcel Spitaleri, Barry Williams, Ron Kraus, Gil Dunn, John Inglis, Norm Verduge, Mike Davis, and of course, John Gow. I would just like to, on behalf of the club, thank all those people that were involved. I know from talking to many of those that were making calls that the calls were appreciated. There was no question about that. But also the callers learned that it was an uplifting experience at both ends of the telephone line. It was so rewarding to talk to our members, to realize that the conversations were appreciated, but to, at the same time, you're asking people how they were doing, how they were holding up. And there were very few exceptions where our members came back and very quickly asked those callers how they were and to check in on the callers' current state. So I think it's especially a tribute again to John Gow's initiative. He got it going and he kept it going. Hopefully we can carry on with other ways of contacting our members. And we look forward to personal contact again as soon as we can get this Omicron under control here. But I think it fulfilled a need, and I think it was much appreciated by our members. It showed the genuine caring that our members have for each other. So thank you to those members of the group that made the calls, and thank you for the concern for our members, for those callers. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Murray. Well said. And with that, I think what we'll do is we'll turn it back to Neil. If you wanted to speak about some of the upcoming programs, Neil.
Yes, gentlemen. Well, I expect next month, our February, what is it, first meeting, first Tuesday in February, will be virtual as well. Our speaker is Barbara Dixon. She's written a fantastic book called Bomb Girls. Now, what we've all heard about the war effort of the women who were left behind during the war while the men went off to war. And we hear most of the stories about the Americans. But did you know there was a bomb factory in Scarborough that actually still exists? And possibly later this summer, we may go on a tour of the underground bunkers there as their guests. So we have Barbara Dickinson going to speak to us on February the 1st. She's an accomplished author, and she's going to tell us about Bomb Girls. She was instrumental in involved heavily with the CBC TV program a few years ago called Bomb Girls. and she's going to be talking about that as well. So very interesting for our February 1st meeting. Now, I want to tell you also about another upcoming meeting on March the 1st, the first Tuesday in March. The Lions Club Foundation of Canada guide dogs. They're out of Oakville, and they're going to be speaking to us about how they train guide dogs. Now, we were hoped to have them in person, and they were going to bring some guide dogs to our meeting. So that certainly be interesting, and explain how they train the guide dogs, how they select them, and whether or not we can pet them, guys. We'll see. So that's our meeting schedule. That's all I have booked right now, the next 2 meetings. And we'll see whether or not that meeting in March will be virtual as well. We have 40 participants maximum that signed on this morning. So fantastic, guys. Hope to see you one way or another in February. Thank you very much, Mike.
Okay, thanks, Neil. We look forward to those presentations. And with that, Peter Kuipers called me last evening. He's unable to attend today, but he did want to say that everything seems to be fine. He had nothing to report for this morning. So that was from Peter. And I guess with that, Marcel has a bit of a presentation that he'd like to do this morning. So Marcel.
There we are. I took a couple of pictures of our last outing that we had at the Famous People Player. So I thought I'd love to show you what we put on Facebook and show you the pictures. So if I may, I'll you can share the screen. I'll put the pictures on, and maybe Mr. Gao could say a couple of words while the pictures are being shown. John, can you do that for me?
I sure will try.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Here we go. Can you see them, guys?
No, we're seeing
Not
you.
yet.
Oh, you see me? Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Sorry. No, I don't want to leave. All right. Yeah, don't say. Let me see. Where am I? I'm here, and I'm going to share. Oh, sorry. There we are. Good. All right. Are we good now?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
This is a shot of the stage. This is in the theater itself. Marcel picked this up from an ad, I think, because that is not us there, or is it?
That's a few of us. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
The back of our heads. Yeah.
So it's amazing what they can do with a stage and
Oh, explain who those 2 people are on the stage for me.
Diane and my wife Susan.
Okay. And why are they elbowing each other?
Because they got their masks on. So here's one of our tables, table 25, actually. There's 22. You can see all our members enjoying. And it's such a pleasant theater. The restaurant area like this, where we're eating, the dining area, there's the grand piano in there, which you can see in the background in some of the pictures. And a lot of time when you go there, there's music being played, and the kitchen is quite done very well. Well, there's a good picture of the bar.
Isn't that nice to see all those smiley faces, eh?
Yeah,
Look at those beautiful couples with the smiley faces.
that's it.
Oh, there's a single guy there with a smile face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a beauty, isn't it, John?
Yeah. Well, if you would have seen this place when we first went there, we helped. One of my grandsons and myself drove the truck when they moved from downtown Toronto out to this place in Etobicoke. And when they were first building it, we were going in, just bringing in odds and ends, and it was just like an old warehouse. It was not even that. It was just terrible. And the
Isn't it?
work that's been done and the improvements that have been made are fantastic, as you can see.
I look, there's a piano,
There's the piano, yes, on the
Yeah.
top picture, right in the center at the back is the piano. And
I
that
think, yeah, we
that
should
was
go
donated
again.
to them as well.
Yeah, next time we go, we'll get a piano player to play us a tune.
Yeah.
We'll bring
And,
our own, we'll bring our own piano player. Oh, look at this.
Well, there's
Is
there's
that a
Mike's-
young, is that a
Yeah.
youngster in the background there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, it was so nice to see all those.
Now you can see the pictures,
buckets
see the pictures hanging from the ceiling, the stars.
over there,
As-
around there, yeah.
Yes, that's right. These
Yeah.
were given out as the accomplished thing, different events or
Uh-huh.
different things. And it was amazing because the first thing when they come there is they learn how to serve. Before they're ever near the stage, they learn how to serve in the dining room. And so they have to know which side the fork and knife go and how they're set up, all that kind of thing. And it's quite a learning process for a lot of them, and some of them you'd think they were never gonna happen. And all of a sudden, I'll tell you, they just work wonders there. There's amazing. The puppetry. It's too bad I couldn't take you back, or we didn't have time to go back into the back stage because
Yeah.
they make all these puppets right on the property, right there. They're amazing. They can produce anything you want. So when it comes to the stage, there's no end to the imagination.
And that's a few of the staff members.
That's the
they-
staff members. They also are the cooks, and they're the ones that are on the stage as well. The one that spoke at the end of the show, who had a very drawling voice, is
Mhm.
the gentleman to the left, right side of the picture there with the mask on. You can see, and it was just amazing to see how these guys. He was too embarrassed to speak when he came there. He wouldn't talk.
Mm.
And
And
now
again-
he's standing up in front of everybody talking.
And again, all the happy faces. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
well, obviously the Probus guys are a bunch of happy-go-lucky guys, and they love these outings. I'm hoping to do more as time goes by. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
so-
started with the masks on and got a little more comfortable, and during our dinner we managed to take them all off. I love that. Look.
It's kind of hard to eat with the mask on, though.
By the way, self-indulgence. This is me. Our Santa Claus is right there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Again, happy patrons here. Yes.
Yeah.
John, what can I say? But I want to. Oh, look, lovely. Isn't that beautiful? Eh?
Yeah. It's a beautiful place,
Yeah.
and it does
I'm looking-
amazing work.
I'm looking at the women.
Everybody's happy. There's our meal.
There's a bit of our meal and so.
Yeah.
What can I say? I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know about you guys, but I want to thank Neil for putting it all together, and I want to thank
Yeah.
John, the Gao family, for helping us out with this. And I definitely will do it again, either by myself or me and the wife, or I think we should do it again as a group sometime this year. Yeah. Again, thank you very much, and we'll close the show. Oh. Thank you, Michael.
All right. Thanks, Marcel. Thanks, John, for the commentary.
Thank you.
And actually, John, did you want to speak on membership this morning?
Membership, yes, okay, membership. Membership with a lot of kind of scratching my head and figuring out what we should be doing. We figure now that the membership, I put down here on my sheet, a correction, January the 1st, 2022. And I believe that we have 98 members. So we need 37 more. But I also want to say before I finish my speech right here is thank you very much, Murray, for your lovely comment. But it was a real pleasure to do that, and I know that it was so well worthwhile. I feel bad that we're stopping it, and I think if this pandemic goes on for more than another month, I'm going to ask Mike if we can resurrect it again and keep on going. Okay, thank you very much. That's
Okay.
my report.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
The book club. Did Tom or Steve, did somebody want to speak this morning about the book club? Tom, you there?
Tom's here this morning.
I thought,
Yeah, I'm waiting for him because I'll this time I'm ready for it. I got my list there, so I know. So somebody's not going to jump up and surprise me.
It's a great book. It's a great read.
Yeah.
What's it all about?
Well, where's Tom? Tom's still muted, I see on the screen here. So
Yeah, he is. Okay, maybe
oh,
Steve.
he's alive. He's alive now. There you are, Tom.
Yeah, so this book is about doctors who are going through a kind of rehab situation. They've all been overworked, and I think it's probably very relevant to what's happening to doctors and hospital staff, nurses in this day and age. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Absolutely, it's very relevant. It's well written. It's an enjoyable read, and we look forward to our meeting, which is on the 21st.
Yeah. Michael, can I just add two small points?
Yeah.
One is that the author of this book was interviewed on CBC the other night. Jillian Horton is her name. She's from Winnipeg, and she was talking about pandemic and Omicron and so on and so forth. So I called Judy in because she has also read the book. We found that interesting. But I also wanted to say our next book coming up after this one in February is called Five Little Indians by Michelle Good. It's a look at how some Indigenous people have survived the trials and tribulations that they've had. And it's a great book with a numerous number of awards. If anybody would like to join us, you just let us know. We'll get you a copy of the book, and you can join the conversation for one time. And if you like it, stick around. But we welcome anybody who'd like to join us for the first time. Just let anyone on the book club know you'd like to participate. Over to you, Mike.
Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Steve. With that, turn it over to Elgin and Ward talking about the walking club this morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So the walking club has been on location every Fridays in 21, except the 5 weeks that we were shut down with the Ontario lockdown. And I'm pleasantly surprised by the number of hardcore walkers that we get out every week. We're getting 8, 10, 12 people on average, even during the winter. In 21, we also welcomed 2 new members. Maurice Marcella and Bruce Walker have joined the club. It's also the time of the year that we need to assess what we're going to do for the rest of the year in terms of scheduling places, and also the mix, such as trails inside of Brampton versus regional trails, hard surface trails versus the Bruce type trail, and also our walk and lunch. So if you have any suggestions for new places or the mix that you would like, please send that information to Ward or me. We have been out checking. We have 2 or 3 new trails in Brampton and several outside in the bigger regional area that we're looking at. But we'll be putting the schedule together in the next month or so. So this Friday, the 7th, we are walking on the Don Doan Trail, which is Professor's Lake, used to be called Professor's Lake Trail, but it's now called the Don Doan Trail. So let's hope that the Omnicon will be Omnigone in 22. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That's good. Omnigone. Let's hope so. Thanks, Elgin. And as always, we leave the best for last, and so from an undisclosed location, somewhere tropical, we have Surfer Guy. Dieter, did you want to speak this morning?
Yeah, okay. I have a couple of comments here. First of all, John, I will send you the update from Bob England, so you can update the address. Regarding the other action item on me, which has to do with speccing out a new computer and purchasing one, I'm waiting for a good deal coming up this month. What I'd be looking for is a Windows 10 Pro machine that is classified as Windows 11 ready. Not buying Windows 11, but getting a machine that has the hardware capable of handling that. And I would like to make a comment about that. For those of you who are in the Windows platform, you may be getting some messages from Microsoft saying you're ready to upgrade to Windows 11. I would suggest not to do so at this time. There are still many issues that are unresolved that have to be taken care of. Let the dust settle before you consider upgrading to 11. The other thing is, as it turns out, most of the computer owners currently are incapable of even installing it because they are missing a particular piece of hardware because the computer is too old. So if your machine is probably, say, in the area of 4 or 5 years old, you will not be able to install it whether you want to or not because of the limitation. It's called TPM version 2.0. That stands for Trusted Platform Module. And Microsoft has decided that everybody must have this on their machine or else you can't have Windows 11. So I expect some backlash here from companies who have maybe dozens of machines on their premises who don't qualify. They're not going to say, well, let's all junk those machines so we can upgrade to Windows 11. I doubt very much that's going to happen. So that has to be resolved. In any case, this Trusted Platform Module, version 2, you can, if you want to, check your machine. And what I could do, if you like, I could send out a little attachment of a one-pager that tells you how to check your machine, whether or not you're capable of running as Windows 11. I can do that. I don't mind doing that. So meanwhile, I think it's a good idea to have a machine that is capable of running it, even though we don't have it. And so I'm looking for a Windows 11 ready machine. Okay. Any questions on that? Am I that good at explaining?
Dieter,
Yeah.
it's Bruce Walker speaking.
Yeah, I can see that. You
With
lost your
Windows
beard.
10, pardon?
You shaved your beard.
No, actually, I've grown it back.
Starting to, okay.
My question relates to background information for 11.
Yeah.
The dummy series of books, they had a great series for Windows 10, which was an amalgamation of about 5 books, but it was very informative. They're really easy to follow. Have they come out with a similar book to your knowledge for Windows 11? Because I understand that has a lot of fixes in it, but there are probably some hidden features too.
Well, from what I could tell so far, I do not see anything compelling in Windows 11 that would want me to switch over right away. What I am going to do is I have one of my computers is capable of doing it. I may download it and set it up as a dual boot system and play around with it to see what it's all about. But so far from what I've read, there's nothing compelling there as far as I must have, you know. But we have to keep in mind that Windows 10 will eventually, be no longer supported. In fact, I believe the date is October 14th, 2025, when the support would be discontinued. So we still have a bit of time left over for Windows 10 before we have to make that decision. So from what I've read, there are tips and tricks on YouTube that tell you how to get around this TPM2, but I don't think I'm going to bother with that because I'm going to let the dust settle for a while. As usual, with a major upgrade, there's always issues. And so to wait. Anyway, that's my comment on Windows 11 so far. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Anybody else?
Peter, I have a question that's not really related to this, but someone asked me last night, how do they access the recording of this show or meeting?
Very easily.
Is there a link? I've never bothered by it. I'm sure there was, but I couldn't answer the question, so I just thought I'd ask you.
Well, right now, this session is being recorded by me, by yours
Correct.
truly. And that when we're done, this file is going to end up on my hard drive. I will then post it to both our regular Dropbox as well as YouTube. And that link will be published to our members. Okay.
Okay. Very good.
Anyone else?
Okay,
And-
thanks,
and
Peter.
We'll put the link on Facebook also, so.
Well, I think maybe what we can repost all the links,
Yeah.
because our library is fairly extensive now with, and so it's, and those past meetings are available to everyone. So we'll post those links, for everyone's access. All right, Dieter, thank you very much for that. So don't forget the sunscreen, and with that, I would ask if there was any new business this morning. Any new business?
Well, what? Were we going to ask our general members if, regarding the website, or to see if anybody wants to be involved?
Okay, that was kind of the party remarks, and so earlier in the meeting, Murray spoke about the importance of the How Are You Doing gang, and John spoke to how well it was received. Over the past few months, we've tried different things, the trivia game, the coffee cafe, the cocktail hour, and all of these events. The intent was to engage our membership, to keep the club relevant, exciting, and to provide services for our members. And so, just as Murray mentioned, as we go into 2022, that remains our focus. How can we remain engaged with all of our membership? And of course, right now with the restrictions, it has to be virtual for the moment. In the next few months, that will likely change, but at present, anything that we're doing will have to be virtual. So one of the suggestions that has been made is that we take a look at having a website dedicated to our Probus group, and so we're looking at that. We've got a little bit of a committee, and if you're interested in joining us, Greg Allen, Dieter, myself, and anyone else that would be interested in participating, taking a look at potentially doing some kind of a website that would be dedicated to our group, and everyone is certainly welcome to participate. Just send a note and say that you'd like to join in. All right, with that, if there's no other new business,
Mike, one other thing.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Can you, we have had the vote, and I think it's all decided that the name of our club has changed, right?
The Probus Men's Club of Brampton, yes?
Yes, and that's officially what it is right now.
Absolutely. A vote was taken, a motion was made, a vote taken. It was presented to the membership. It was voted on, accepted, and has been communicated to Probus Canada.
Okay, good.
All the steps have been taken, yes.
Very good.
Probus Canada has accepted the changes and implemented them. I verified that.
Very good. That's good. I think that's something the whole club should know.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Okay, with that, as we normally do, we'll stop the recording, Dieter, and what we will do is we're going to go into the breakout rooms for 15 minutes, and so we're going to set up 6 rooms, and the computer will arbitrarily send you to a room, and we enjoy social time with our membership.